What's the worst thing that's happened to one of your friends? He was helping an elderly couple with chores around the house to help support his new family. They had 2 adult children. They were both in town at the time. The son shot his sister, his parents, and then my friend, and put the gun in his hand and pinned it all on him. Didn't take long to prove who done it, but not after his name was tarnished. Edit. So this is what they mean by blowing up overnight. A few repeated questions. The only survivor was the son. The police figured it out soon enough because of GSR and no defensive wounds. I still don't know why he did it. My friend's family is a wreck. His mom took his child. The GF didn't care from what I know, and went back to her home country because her son and grandson were the only family she had. Yes, I live in America. A few people in the comments narrowed it down further, but I will not. I also have 2 more stories. Story 1: a cable guy went crazy and raped a mom in front of her kids and then set the house on fire. Only the mom survived. The daughter I knew almost made it out. She was found half in and half out of a window. Story 2: a friend was at a house party when another friend came over to the house and shot him point blank in the head. Dozens of witnesses. He ditched the gun a few blocks away and they found him 3 states away 2 days later. He is still on trial for that one. She worked as a bartender and her fiancé came in drunk out of his mind and acting strange. She had to tell him she couldn't serve him. He left upset. She went home a few hours later and found him trying to rape her teen daughter. My friend fought him. He cut open her face from forehead to chin. She said she could see her own facial bones. He held them hostage for hours. She knocked him out with a bat and carried her daughter banging on all the neighbors' doors. Finally, someone opened up and got the cops. He was on the run for a while but finally caught. Her piece of ex-fiancé was sentenced to 58 years. She has a huge deep scar on her face. Her daughter is still a sweet young lady who has kept a positive mindset. A friend in high school was hit by a car and dragged a couple of 100 yards before he died. The driver was drunk and on coke. It was 8 a.m. when it happened. My friend was on his way to school. Tried to swim to shore from a sailboat in Lake Michigan. She was a strong swimmer. But even in the summer, hypothermia is a threat. They did find her body for several weeks, and during that time famous fake psychic Sylvia F.C. King Brown told the family she was alive and being held on a boat against her will. Still miss you, Julie. Even in the summer, hypothermia is a threat. Did not know this. So sorry for your loss. Also, F. Sylvia Brown. Oh my God. How is your friend now? Finished a workout at the gym and collapsed on his way out. Brain aneurysm. He was dead 6 days later. Happened to my uncle. He had just had a physical and dropped dead in the parking lot on his way to his car. Went swimming in a lake and got tangled in a bunch of weeds and drowned. Rip Dan. He and his brother were away at college. His father fell asleep with a cigar in hand, and the house began to burn. So far as could be determined, the father woke, went to get his wife, carried her downstairs, and made it to within a couple feet of the door. They both died, and the house was destroyed. Holy s, what a sad story. RIP. In high school, a friend of mine was stopped at an intersection when some lady rear-ended him. She was dicking with her phone and didn't even slow down. This pushed his vehicle through the intersection and pinned a girl waiting for the bus against a telephone pole, where she died. Holy s, that must have been so traumatizing for your friend. My friend had another good friend of ours die in his arms after being shot 3 times from a drive-by. Even to this day, 9 years later, he feels like that they were meant for him and lives with some guilt. Survivor's guilt. He needs to speak to a professional if he hasn't already. I had a friend who I went through elementary school and middle schools with. He moved away in the middle of 7th grade and our friend group was heartbroken, but figured we'd see him again. Last week, he was shot in the head by his friend who was showing him a gun and pointed it at him as a joke. He was 18. My mom is friends with the kid's dad that did this. He was showing his friend his dad's old World War II gun and they didn't realize it still worked. Blew his head off and changed the kid's life. She was cycling through London and a bus hit her so hard she came off, landed on head, and died. She was also quite literally the last member of her family. Both her parents were only childs and had both died of cancer. And she had no siblings. Her death was the end of her family tree. She was 23. Two of my good friends, twins, got in a car accident. They were upside down in a wooded area. The one brother died instantly, while the other was upside down for 3 hours until someone saw their car. And I miss you. As a twin, this really resonates with me. The thought of having to hang upside down next to my lifeless brother for 3 hours sounds absolutely horrifying. I am so sorry for what happened, and I hope your friend is doing better now. A friend of mine was murdered, shot 14 times. He was left for dead on somewhat remote road. He was 15. It's hard to deal with friends going out like that. Thanks for your kind response to my comment. Wish there was something more I could say, but I have a hard time finding the right words here. Why was your friend shot up like that at such a young age? I ask because the same thing happened to my friend. IDK if you've seen the movie Alpha Dog, but it's about my friend. My friend was found after not breathing for 10+ minutes. They got his heart started again and he lived for a few more years, but he never walked or talked again. My best friend was shot point blank in the head by her husband and then he killed himself. She survived with no long-term damage. That's horrible, but at least she survived. Point blank headshots are nearly 100% instant kills. She was very lucky to survive. This happened to my great-grandmother back in the day when she tried to leave her husband. He broke into her sister's house where she was staying, shot her sister, her, and then himself, all at point blank, only he died. Murdered by an unknown person. There was some extremely shady-ness going on at the time. They found her dead in bed with the front door wide open. 28 years on, I still miss her so much. People on this subreddit would be terrified if they knew how many murders happen that are actually unsolved. There's a really good friend of mine that was driving his girlfriend at the time and got hit by a drunk driver. Only fatality of that accident was my friend's GF. It's been about 10 to 15 years and he still doesn't drive. That destroyed him. He is still a happy dude, but it isn't the same for real. Just broke. One of my friends was sliding down a railing that was next to a ground storm drain made of concrete. He slipped backwards and cracked his skull open. It was near midnight and we were pretty close to a hospital, so I just kinda picked him up and ran. I hope I never see the inside of someone's head up close again. Edit. Since people keep asking me if my friend is still alive. He is and is doing much better. Did he make it? His girlfriend, who he had a 3-year-old daughter with, one day just grabbed everything and the kid and left for a different country, leaving no trace behind her. That was 15 years ago and my friend has been looking for his daughter nonstop. He has a blog where he posts letters for her to find in case she ever Googles her name. But it points out that the mother changed her identity and the daughter's. I can't imagine how that feels. Edit. OMG, I didn't expect this to blow up. First of all, I don't know why she left. I don't know if it was domestic violence, but he doesn't seem to be violent at all. He seems very sweet. This didn't happen in the US. It happened in a South American country and the girl took off to Brazil. My friend did hire a couple of pie and they both told him all they found was her name at the registration office at the border. And then it's like she vanished. He did everything he could. such as going to TV shows and the newspaper. But the girl's family told him to stop showing his daughter's face in the media as she is still a minor. She's turning 18 at the end of the year, and that he was committing a crime. So he stopped showing her or using her full name. The girl's family don't want to give any data. They just told him that he will never find her. That's why he thinks she changed hers and his daughter's name. She's not in social media. And sorry, the blog is in Spanish and I don't really want to share it as it has a lot of personal info on him. I don't want to send a mob to it. I really didn't expect this would get so much attention. For now, he's waiting for her daughter to turn 18 and he will start to look for her in the media. Again, I will let him know the Reddit family can help him with the search. Hope you guys understand. Nothing crazy. Not death. Moved to New York City with my best friend from college when we were both 22. Got an apartment together. Struggled to get jobs together. We're basically living our best lives as young, broke girls in the big city. One day she's in a coffee shop using Wi-Fi and a dude comes up to her and starts chatting. He's a lot older, late 40s, but seems nice and asks for her number. Eventually she gives it to him. He calls, takes her to dinner at this sushi place, spends like $800. He starts taking her out every weekend, spending massive amounts of money. Eventually she just doesn't come home on weekends. Then, she doesn't come home during the week. I'm constantly checking in with her to see how she's doing since she basically moved in with him after 3 months, and it all seems weird to me. She says she's fine, but tells me to stop calling so much as he doesn't like her spending a ton of time on the phone with her friends. 6 months later, he proposes. She accepts. That was in October. They had a wedding planned for the summer, but it's been canceled due to COVID, so they did a quickie courthouse wedding on a road trip in May. Last month, she announced she is pregnant. She didn't call me. I found out on Instagram. I messaged her on IG saying congratulations, and she said thanks. That it was all happening so fast and she didn't know if she was really ready for marriage and kids. But because he was so much older, it made the most sense to do it all right away. She said if I want to talk more to do it through Instagram messaging, as he generally finds out about stuff she says over text. TLDR, moved to NYC with best friend. Within 18 months she's married and pumping out kids she doesn't want yet with a way older creepy rich dude who doesn't let her talk to me.